जय जय सुरनायक जन सुखदायक प्रणतपाल भगवंता गोद्विज हितकारी जय सुरारी सिंधु सुता प्रियकंता पालन सुरधरणी अधरणी मरम न जानई कोई जो सहज कृपाला दीन दयाला करऊ अनुग्रह सोई करऊ अनुग्रह। जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी बिरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निसी बासर ध्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा जेहि सृष्टि उपाई त्रिविध बनाई संग सहाय न दूजा सो करऊ अघारी चिंता हमारी जानिय भगति न पूजा जो भव भय भंजन मुनि मन रंजन गंजन विपति बरूथा मन बच क्रम बानी छाड़ी सयानी सरन सकल सुर जूथा सरन सकल सुर जूथा सारद श्रुति शेषा ऋषय अशेषा जा कहूँ कोई नहीं जाना जेहि दीन पियारे वेद पुकारे द्रवौ सो श्री भगवान भव बारिधि मंदर सब विधि सुंदर गुण मंदिर सुख पुंजा मुनि सिद्ध सकल सुर परम भयातुर नमत नाथ पद कंजा नमत नाथ पद कंजा जय जय अविनाशी सब घटवासी व्यापक परमानंदा अभिगत गोतीतम चरित पुनीतम माया रहित मुकुंदा जेहि लागी बिरागी अति अनुरागी विगत मोह मुनि वृंदा निसी बासर ध्यावहि गुण गण गावहि जयति सच्चिदानंदा जयति सच्चिदानंदा। दिन अवधि कर अति आरत पुर लोक रामा, अति आरत पुर लोक। जहाँ तहाँ सोचहि नारी नर, कृस तन राम वियोग। तुलसी कृस तन राम वियोग। होई सुंदर सकल मन प्रसन्न सब केर राम, मन प्रसन्न सब केर। प्रभु आगमन जनाब जनु, नगर रम्य चहु फेर। तुलसी नगर रम्य चहु फेर। कौसल्यादि मातु सब, मन आनंद अस होई राम, मन आनंद अस होई। आयौ प्रभु श्री अनुज जतु, कहन चहत अब कोई। तुलसी कहन चहत अब कोई। भरत नयन भुज दक्षिण, फरकत बारहि बार राम, फरकत बारहि बार। जानि सगुन मन हर्ष अति, लागे करन विचार। तुलसी लागे करन विचार। एक दिन अवधि अधारा, समुझत मन दुख भयउ अपारा। कारण कवन नाथ नहीं आयऊ, जानि कुटिल किथ मोहि विसार। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। आहा धन्य लक्ष्मण बड़ भागी, राम पदार बिंदु अनुरागी। कपटी कुटिल मोहि प्रभु जी, ताते नाथ संग नहीं लीन्हा। करनी समुझे प्रभु मोरी, नहीं निस्तार कलप सत कोरी। जन अवगुण प्रभु मान न काऊ, दीन बंधु अति मृदुल सुभाऊ। मोरे जिया भरोस दृढ़ सोई, मिली हहि राम सगुण शुभ होई। बीते अवधि रहहि जय प्राणा, अधम कवन जग मोहि समाना। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम बिरह सागर महा, भरत मगन मन होत राम, भरत मगन मन होत। विप्ररूप धरि पवन सुत आई गय उजनु पोत तुलसी आई गय उजनु पोत।
Okay, since we are singing after quite a long break, let's spend a few minutes in terms of how do we approach the reading of the scripture. Just started. Just started. So let's review a little bit in terms of how do we approach the reading of the scripture. So it is said that anytime people gather and we sing Lord Ram's name, Hanumanji graces us with his presence. And it is specially said about the Rāmacharitamānasa, the holy book that we are reading right now, that the holy presence of Lord Hanumanji is with us at this very moment. So when we sing, we must sing so that our voice reaches our heart in the form of a prayer, in the form of these words where we are remembering the Leela of Lord Ram. And it is said that to remember the Leela of the Lord is to remember Him in our hearts, that He lives in His Leela as well. So really have the sense that we are in a deep prayer and everything must be from our heart. The pronunciation is not so important. Who is singing, how is not so important. Sing mostly in our hearts, and sing also so that you're singing to hear your brothers and sisters share their love for God. So you must hear them at least as much as you hear yourself in the singing. Now we are on a very beautiful section and we've cheated and we've jumped to this point and it's Diwali or one day after Diwali, so it's appropriate to sing this part where what Diwali is for, what Diwali is about. But as you read, notice that this is our story, and don't ever read it in the sense that if you notice, Bharatji is saying that I am the worst, and if he remembered how I am, then he would not bother about me. But from what I know about the Lord, He is the most merciful, He is the kindest, and He doesn't remember how I am, He remembers only the good things. So as we read this, we must never consider ourselves to be greater than Bharatji. How many of us are truly able to say this from our hearts? And our pride is such that it is visible to everyone else, but it is invisible to us. So remember that a great one like Bharatji has attained that state of humility where after making such a huge sacrifice for his brother, for his God, he still has so much humility in his heart. He chose to live in a hut for 14 years outside the palace because his brother was living in a hut in the jungle. He kept his brother's feet, his brother's sandals on the throne of Ayodhya and lived in complete poverty during that time. None of us have done anything even 1% close to that. So let's immerse ourselves in the holiness of this man and immerse ourselves in this beautiful story in a heartfelt way. So let's not do it in the way that when I was growing up, I saw some in my family used to read the Rāmacharitamānasa. Like the older generation, we would read it, but they would never I didn't see them reading it in a heartfelt way. They were just reading it because probably they thought it's a good thing to do, but their mind was occupied with other things, and the minute the reading stopped, they would start shouting at others around them. And so we're not doing a tick in the box reading. We're not just doing a symbolic reading. It must be a true prayer from our heart. And let's use this opportunity to dive deep into the love for Lord Ram, that both the ones that we are reading about right now are the greatest embodiments of that love for Lord Ram. So may their grace bless us during this reading today, and let's read full-heartedly and not in a self-conscious way or with any pretense.
रहा एक दिन अवधि कर अति आरत पुर लोक राम अति आरत पुर लोक चाहता सोच ही नारी नर कृसतन राम वियोग तुलसी कृसतन राम वियोग सगुन होई सुंदर सकल मन प्रसन्न सब केर राम मन प्रसन्न सब केर प्रभु आगवन जनाव जनु नगर रम्य चहु फेर तुलसी रम्य चहु फेर कौसल्यादि मातु सब मन आनंद अस होई राम मन आनंद अस होई आयहु प्रभु श्री अनुज जुत कहन चहत अब कोई तुलसी कहन चहत अब कोई भरत नयन भुज दक्षिण फरकत बारहि बार राम फरकत बारहि बार जानि सगुन मन हर्ष अति लागे करन विचार, लागे करन विचार। रहे एक दिन अवधि धारा, समुझत मन दुख भयउ अपारा। कारण कवन नाथ नहीं आयऊ, जानी कुटिल की धौ मोहि बिसरायऊ। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। धन्य लक्ष्मण बड़ भागी, राम पदार बिंदु अनुरागी। कपटी कुटिल मोहि प्रभु चीन्हा, ताते नाथ संग नहीं लीन्हा। राम जो करनी समुझऊ प्रभु मोरी, नहीं निस्तार कलप सत कोरी। जन अवगुण प्रभु मानन काऊ, दीन बंधु अति मृदुल सुभाऊ। मोरे जिय भरोस दृढ़ सोई, मिली हहि राम सगुन शुभ होई। बीते अवधि रहहि जो प्राणा, अधम कवन जग मोहि समाना। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम बिरह सागर महा, भरत मगन मन होत। राम भरत मगन मन होत, विप्र रूप धरि पवन सुत। आई गयऊ जानु पोत, तुलसी आई गयऊ जनु पोत। बैठे देखी कुशासन, जटा मुकुट कृस गात। राम जटा मुकुट कृस गात। राम राम रघुपति जपत, स्रवत नयन जल जात। तुलसी स्रवत नयन जल जात। देखत हनुमान अति हर्षेउ, पुलक गात लोचन जल बहेउ। मन मह बहुत भांति सुख मानी, बोलेउ श्रवण सुधा सम बानी। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। जासु बिरह सोचहु दिन राती, रटहु निरंतर गुण गण पाती। रघुकुल तिलक सुजन सुखदाता, आयु कुशल देव मुनि त्राता। रिपुरन जीति सुजस सुर गावत, सीता सहित अनुज प्रभु आवत। सुनत बचन दुखा, तृषावंत जिमि पाई पीयूषा। को तुम तात कहाते आए, बचन सुनाए। मारुत सुत मैं कपि हनुमाना, नाम मोर सुन कृपा निधाना। दीन बंधु रघुपति कर किंकर, सुनत भरत भेंटे उठी सादर। मिलत प्रेम नहीं हृदय समाता, नयन स्रवत जल पुलकित गाता। कपि तब दरस सकल दुख बीते, मिले आजु मोहि राम पीरीते। बार बार भूजी कुशलाता, तो कहु देव काह सुनु भ्राता। एहि संदेश सरिस जग माही, करि विचार देखेउ कछु नाहि। नाहिन तात उरिन मैं तोही, अब प्रभु चरित सुनावहु मोही। तब हनुमंत नाई पद माथा, कहे सकल रघुपति गुण गाथा। कहु कपि कबहु कृपाल गोसाई, सुमिरहि मोहि दास की नाई। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। मंगल भवन जो रघुवंश भूषण, कबहु मम सुमिरन कर्यो। सुनि भरत बचन बिनती, कृपि पुलकितन चरणनि पर्यो। रघुबीर निज मुख जासु गुण गण कहत अग जगन्नाथ जो को होई विनीत परम पुनीत सद्गुण सिंधु सो। निज दास जो रघुबंश भूषण कबहु मम सुमिरन करो सुनि भरत बचन बिनीत अति कपि पुलकितन चरण निपर्यो। रघुबीर निज मुख जासु गुण गण कहत अग जगन्नाथ जो काहे न होई विनीत परम पुनीत सद्गुण सिंधु सो। राम प्राण प्रिय नाथ तुम सत्य बचन मम तात। राम सत्य बचन मम तात। पुनि पुनि मिलत भरत सुनी हर्षन हृदय समात। तुलसी हर्षन हृदय समात। भरत चरण सोठा यथा सुअंजन जो गन सिरुनाई तुरित गयउ कपिराम पही। कही कुशल सब जाहि हर्षि चलेउ प्रभु जान चढ़ी। हर्षि भरत कौशलपुर आए समाचार सब गुरहि सुनाए। पुनि मंदिर महबात जनाए आवत नगर कुशल रघुराई। सुमत सकल जननी उठी धाई कही प्रभु कुशल भरत समुझाई। समाचार पूर्वासिन पाए नर अरु नारी हर्षि सब धाये। नदी दूर पारोचन फल फूला नव तुलसी दल मंगल मूला। भरी भरी हेम थार भामिनी गावत चली सिंधु जय जैसे ही तैसे ही उठ धावही, बाल वृद्ध कह संग न लावही। एक एक कन्ह कह बुझहि भाई, तुम देखे दयाल रघुराई। अवधपुरी प्रभु आवत जानी, भई सकल शोभा कै खानी। बहई सुहावन त्रिविध समीरा, भई सरजू अति निर्मल नीरा। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। हर्षित गुर परिजन अनुज, भूसुर वृंद समेत राम, भूसुर वृंद समेत। चले भरत मन प्रेम अति, सन्मुख कृपा निकेत तुलसी, सन्मुख कृपा निकेत। बहुतक छाड़ी अटल, निरखहि गगन विमान राम, निरखहि गगन विमान। देखि मधुर सुर हर्षित, करहि सुमंगल गान तुलसी, करहि सुमंगल गान। राकासि रघुपतिपुर, सिंधु देखि हर्षान राम, सिंधु देखि हर्षान। बढ़्यो कोलाहल करत, जनु नारी तरंग समान तुलसी, जनु नारी तरंग समान। हर्षित गुर परिजन अनुज, भूसुर वृंद समेत राम, भूसुर वृंद समेत। चले भरत मन प्रेम अति, सन्मुख कृपा निकेत तुलसी, सन्मुख कृपा निकेत। बहुतक चढ़ी अटारिन्हा, निरखहि गगन विमान राम, निरखहि गगन विमान। देखि मधुर सुर हर्षित, करहि सुमंगल गान तुलसी, करहि सुमंगल गान। राकासि रघुपतिपुर, सिंधु देखि हर्षान राम, सिंधु देखि हर्षान। बढ़्यो कोलाहल करत, जनु नारी तरंग समान तुलसी, जनु नारी तरंग समान। पानुकूल कमल दिवाकर, कपिन्ह देखावत नगर मनोहर। सुनु कपीस अंगद लंकेसा। पावन पुरी रुचिर यह देसा। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। यद्यपि सब बैकुंठ बखाना। वेद पुराण विदित जगु जाना। अवधपुरी सम प्रिय नहीं सो। यह प्रसंग जानई को। जन्म भूमि मम पुरी सुहावनी। उत्तर दिशि बहसरजु पावनी। जास्मच्चन ते बिनहि प्रयासा। मम समीप नर पावहि बासा। अति प्रिय मोहि के बासी। मम धाम दापुरी सुख रासी। हर्षे सब कपि सुनि प्रभु बानी। धन्य अवध जो राम बखानी। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। राम सिया राम जय जय राम। आवत देखी लोग सब कृपा सिंधु भगवान। राम कृपा सिंधु भगवान। नगर निकट प्रभु प्रेरेऊ। उतरेयु भूमि विमान। तुलसी उतरेयु भूमि विमान। उतरी कहेउ प्रभु पुष्प कही। तुम कुबेर पही जाऊ। राम तुम कुबेर पही जाहु। प्रेरित राम चले उसो। हर्षु बिरहु अति ताहु। तुलसी हर्षि बिरहु अति ताहु। आवत देखी लोग सब कृपा सिंधु भगवान। राम कृपा सिंधु भगवान। नगर निकट प्रभु प्रेरेऊ। उतरेयु भूमि विमान। तुलसी उतरेयु भूमि विमान। उतरी कहेउ प्रभु पुष्प कही। तुम कुबेर पही जाऊ। राम तुम कुबेर पही जाहु। प्रेरित राम चले उसो। हर्षु बिरहु अति ताहु। तुलसी हर्षु बिरहु अति ताहु। भरत संग सब लोग। कृसतन श्री रघुबीर वियोगा वामदेव वसिष्ठ मुनि नायक देखे प्रभु मही धरि धनुषायक धाई धरे गुर चरण सरोरुह अनुज सहित अति पुलक तनोरुह भेटे कुशल भूझी मुनि राया हमरे कुशल तुम्हारी दाया सकल दीक्षण मिली नायहु माथा धर्म धुरंधर रघुकुल नाथा गहे भरत पुनि प्रभु पद पंकज नमत जिन्हि सुर मुनि संकर अज परे भूमि नहीं उठत उठाए बर करी कृपा सिंदूर लाए श्यामल गात रोम भय ठाड़े नवराजीव नयन जल बाढ़े राम सिया राम जय जय राम राम सिया राम जय जय राम राजीव लोचन स्रवत जलतन ललित पुलकावली बनी अति प्रेम हृदय लगाई अनुजहि मिले प्रभु त्रिभुवन धनी प्रभु मिलत अनुजहि सोह मोपहि जाति नहीं उपमा कही जनु प्रेम अरु सिंगार तनु धरि मिले बर सुषमा लही जत कृपा निधि कुशल भरतहि वचन बेगिन आवई सुनु शिवा से वचन मन ते भिन्न जान जो पावही अब कुशल कौशल नाथ आरत जानी जन दर्शन दियो बूढ़त बिरह बारिस कृपा निधान मोहि कर गहि लियो हर्षि शत्रु भेटे हृदय दोहा पुनि प्रभु हर्षि शत्रुघ्न भेटे हृदय लगाई राम भेटे हृदय लगाई लक्ष्मण भरत मिले सब परम प्रेम दो भाई तुलसी परम प्रेम दो भाई
So I wish you all a very happy Diwali from deep in my heart. Diwali signifies the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya after the exile. And the meaning of the word Ram is the light of the Atma within. I haven't looked this up, I heard it from Shivji in Srimad Ramayana, so I'm not one to argue with Shivji, so I'll take that conveniently. So, the light of the Atma within is Ram himself. So, what would the significance of his return to Ayodhya be? Who did he vanquish? And in a way, what did he vanquish? Maya in a way, but the embodiment of Maya in the form of pride. Ravan symbolizes pride more than anything else. Right? So of course it is Maya, but in the form of this pride, and especially spiritual pride. So Lord, besides the outer celebrations that we do today and yesterday, let us use this opportunity today to vanquish our pride, so that the light of our Atma within can shine brightly in our hearts, and may the outpouring of that light of the Atma within be felt as the celebration on the outside. So from this Diwali to next Diwali, let's endeavor to remain as much as possible with this presence, with this holy light within. It is beyond the realm of perception. It is not a light which is perceivable. The outer reflection of that light may be felt in the heart and may be felt in the outpouring in the form of diyas and candles that we light today. But this holy, unperceivable light of the Atma within, that we know only intuitively, only in the discipleship of the Atma itself do we recognize it. And to become a disciple of the Atma is to let go of the discipleship of the mind, let go of the discipleship of me. So may this year be the end of a very convenient conceptual spirituality, which is self-serving rather than self-sacrificing. May you vanquish that form of pride in the form of conceptual spiritual knowledge or reliance on past spiritual experiences. May you start every moment as a naked baby, as a full beginner in the light of the Holy Presence, the Holy Atma, the Holy Spirit. And what is the way there has been shown to us in the form of Lord Lakshman, Lord Bharat, Lord Sita, Goddess Sita, Lord Hanuman. What is the way? What is special about them? That they learned to follow God's will. Ram's will was the highest for them. Hanumanji would not be Hanumanji if he just went on his own way, no? Lord Ram is telling him something, he is saying, nahi, मुझे लगता है मैं ऐसा करूँगा, then he would not be Hanumanji. Hanumanji is Hanumanji because Lord Ram just had to say, and he was like, Jai Shri Ram. So that doubtless devotion which all of them around Lord Ram carried, that is what makes them special. So if we are to come close to the light of the Atma within, we have to learn to follow the will of God. That is the most important. So those around Lord Ram followed his will. That is an embodiment of the same statement. Sri Ramakrishna said that you don't have to worry about your life. You are living next to the Kalpataru, which gives you everything that you could ever desire. But he said to get everything in that way, you have to live next to it. You can't be distant from it. So you have to live in God's presence. And to live in God's presence, you have to follow His will. Now this path seems very simple to most, but it's not actually. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi said that most say that bhakti is simpler than jnana because it seems to them that bhakti only means that you have to say, I surrender, I surrender. And you then go your merry way after saying just with your lips that I surrender. But just saying with our lips I surrender is not enough. We truly have to surrender and live only in God's will. And most people who do this lip service surrender never meet God's will because they're just too busy after saying I surrender following their own will. They're too busy to live in God's presence to know what His will is. So when Anandji said, Guru Rajai Chalna, Nanak Likhyana, he's saying the same thing. Hukum Rajai Chalna, Nanak Likhyana, to follow the will of God, to command of God, that is the highest. So let go of yourselves, live in God's presence, then we can know what His will is. And then we can try and emulate Sri Hanuman in our lives. So the problem is not right now. Problem is tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Will you still be in satsang? That is the satsang you have to inculcate in your life. Because right now everybody is finding it easy to nod appreciatively. And tomorrow somebody tells you something rude, somebody spam calls you on the phone. Then do you remember that you're living in God's presence? Can you live without irritation and anger and pride? Can we live in humility and treat every brother like a brother, every sister like a sister? All that is very important for us to live in God's life, to live in His presence. Some simple things I'm realizing at the age of almost 50, which should be, maybe they are taught, but we don't pay attention when we are children, that the separation from God happens because of, it starts because of small things. You see? And we neglect the small things thinking that they are small things. You see? So irritation leads to anger. Anger leads to a great hellish separation from God. These small things. Unkindness, selfishness, wanting more than others. All these small things sound like a moral science class, and we were averse to it because it sounded like too much preaching. Huh? Entitlement. Huh? Everyone thinks that they're better than everyone else. Is that possible? Everyone thinks, no? All of us think somewhere that we are better than everyone else. Yeah? And everyone feels like they've got it right. Everyone else has it wrong. But do we really know? Only when we start to live in God's presence, we start to realize the areas of pride which are blocking us. So let's make an endeavor today to emulate Lord Ram in every way. In his peace, in his principled way of life, in his complete trust in God, in his bhakti for Lord Shiva, every aspect, in his love for his parents and brothers and country people.
Until the presence is there, it's only self-denial that I have to practice, and it's really important in spite of all the practice. Like pray, still like ego not require anything.
Yes.
So complete self-denial is just not, it's just, I don't know how.
It's a lifetime project, and we can only deepen in it. You see, we can't say in this project that, okay, I tried this, it's not really working. Is there a plan B? There isn't one. Just to have that wrestling match constantly itself is the spiritual quest. You see? But at least it's better than saying that I'm done, I'm sorted, I'm good, I am that. You see? But that is the end which you don't have to worry about. You see? That end has always been that. On the other end of the leash, in this Achinta Bheda Abheda, is the one that wants, the one that is proud, the one that wants to be seen, the one that wants entitlement, the one that wants people to recognize how good they are, how right they are. Until we can truly with integrity say that actually that one doesn't play out in our life, then that one has to be kept getting dipped in the Ganga of God's love and presence at the cost of what it believes it wants. Yeah? What believes it wants, which we are calling self-denial. That is the cause. Like you believe you want something, to let that go is to let go of your will. Now that seems like a self-denial, isn't it? That's called self-denial. But actually it is a denial of what the mind wants out of this life.
What is it delusion? I feel it's a major delusion that I am something.
Yeah? That is the delusion, that I am something. That is the Ravan. You see? Now that I am something great, I am something which is the best, I am the highest, that can arise only from that I am something first. So I wrote to one child, I said to her as a blessing that may the next year for you be completely blessed by God's will, may you live in His presence, and may His will only unfold. And she said to me, everything is unfolding already in His will. Yeah. So you have to be very careful about that. Because then Nanakji didn't know everything is already unfolding in His will. All the Sojis said, we must live in God's will, but they didn't, actually they missed that main point that everything is already unfolding in His will. How they said like that? They must have been a bit out of it or something. So it's very important to recognize that His will is all pervasive, but our love towards Him is not forced by Him. Is it? Now, your children, if you force them every morning to say, good morning Papa, good morning Mama, I love you. You see, after a few days it will lose its value because you know it is forced. But if it came out of their own heart, even though they were getting late for school, they ran up to you and said to you that I love you, then that has value. So, as aspects of consciousness, as beings of life, like I said, the aspect which is one with God is, we have nothing to worry about that anyway. There's no need to make any claims about that part. The troublesome part is the I am something part. And that somethingness will only go when we keep turning that something into love for God, into service to God, into bhakti for God. And in that way then jnana and bhakti are the two wings of the same bird. So, am I living only in God's will? Far from it. I have a long way to go. I have a long, long way to go. So I was telling all of you that please, I know that you're doing it out of love, but please don't keep my photo next to God. This fool has a long way to go. I know it is your love and devotion, but if I allow that to happen in this life, it will not be, it is not worthy of God to have this foolish one's photo next to Him. So, let's not do that because I have a very long way to go. I don't live always in God's will. But I'm learning, I'm trying every day.
Father, how do you make it? I'm not living in all the time.
Yeah.
God's will.
Yeah. Because what happens every moment is that I get an offer from the mind, and many times I let go of that offer, but many times I take it also. So, are we living in a way that we do what we want in the guise of spirituality, under the pretext of God's will? Are we truly patient? Do we really wait for our heart to move us, for our heart to guide us? Okay, so the other way to look at it is that everyone only lives in God's will. True? Correct? Then what is so special about Hanumanji? Why are we praying to Hanumanji? What is so special that he did? Huh? Huh?
They live in a garb of spirituality.
So we can get into this like conceptual idea of spirituality. You see, that just ask yourself this question: what is special about Hanumanji? Okay. Am I Hanumanji? I'm not. Far from it. Why far from it? Are you Hanumanji? You are not. Far from it. Why?
Affinity to this Venus.
Correct. And a lot of times our spirituality itself provides enough defenses to keep our ego alive. You see? So if Bharat ji is saying कि मैं इतना तुच्छ हूँ, मेरे को तो अगर भगवान भूल जाए तो that is understandable. You see, Bharat ji is saying, and then he is saying that, but I have hope because his character is that to forgive, to have mercy. वो कृपालु हैं. You see? Now, Hanuman Poddar ji said that it's very good for us that he is merciful and not just. It's very good for us that he is merciful and not just. Why would he say that? Is he? Why do we need his mercy? उनकी कृपा क्यों चाहिए? Because we are not yet Hanuman. So God is not forcing us to love Him. Just like we don't force our children to love us, because that love would have no value.
How are you getting better at not following the same practices?
It's the same thing. Notice, patience, not getting angry, holding on to courage when life seems to attack you. Simple thing. Being empty as much as possible of myself and remaining in God's presence. That is the key, no? But I'm not emphasizing that because many of you will feel that you have not found His presence yet, so to live in it seems difficult, especially those who are not used to this kind of satsang. So how to remain in God's will is to first remain in His presence constantly. So please we don't have an unlimited amount of time. So please don't fool yourself that you are. कबीर जी said, अवसर बार बार नहीं आवे. किस चीज का अवसर? To find God and to live in His light. See, the thing is that many of us have got into like a godless spirituality without realizing it. What does that mean? That when we make a spiritual report about ourselves, there is no mention of God. We spoke about this last time also. Yeah. That to do it without God's grace is not possible. You are empty of your mind. Okay, suppose you are Mahayogi, Mahagyani, you are empty of your mind. Okay. Now, in spite of that, if God's grace is not there, what will you get? Nothing. His presence, His Atma has to reveal itself to you. You cannot force it. We are not entitled to it. We spoke about entitlement. You see? So, focus on His grace more than the methods or the tactics that you are using. Okay, so suppose that, let's say that the famous example of the lane is narrow. The lane is narrow. The lane is narrow. Now suppose that you are somebody full of yourself. But God's grace is upon you. And suppose that you're a great yogi, you're a great practitioner of the art of keeping your mind empty, all of that. But grace is not upon you. Who has a better chance of being with God? And history is full of these examples. So rely on His grace, on His guidance, more than trying to do this project yourself. That is the bane of spirituality in today's world, because it has mostly become godless. Spirit is what? Spirituality hai na? So spirit is what? Spirit is a worldly thing. Spirit is not a worldly thing. So what is it? It is the presence of God Himself. It is the Atma. So Atma के बिना spirituality नहीं हो सकती. To rely on that and say, I bow down to you, Holy Presence of God. That's why in the prayer I've said, bless my heart with the light of Spirit. You see? Knowing fully well that if that blessing is upon us, then everything is fine. You see? It's not operating under the presumption that we've already found it. So the prayer is not reliant on that. Or if you remain open and empty, do it with a devotee's heart. You see? What is the difference between open and empty like this and open and empty like this? You see? Be empty of all of that and have the bhava of love, have the bhava of devotion, have the bhava of surrender. So Sri Ramakrishna said that first you will get prema, love, then you will get bhava, which will be a deepening of that, and you'll remain devoted to God. Then that will become mahabhava, which means that you will, we talked about this, no? You will feel the param vyakulta of being away from God if you're going with your own will, with your own mind. You see? So you must inculcate these things on Diwali. Don't get into any notion that your spirituality is in your hands. We must put everything that we feel we have into it, but know that the outcomes are only with God. Otherwise, in the textbook it would be written, you chant Ram 10 million times, you have to find God. Can anyone give you that guarantee? Nobody can give you. You do the inquiry 10 million times and you will come to self-realization. Can anyone give you the guarantee? Nobody, because the big variable is God's grace. And in recognizing that, you will see that you actually, what we take ourselves to be, is powerless, is nobody. And that takes away our pride. But then if you fall into the trap, that then there is no point. Bhagavan saying, so the one who is doing the lip service surrender, you see, what is he saying? I surrender, which means everything is God's will. He's saying that, no, it's easy to say. Then why did Bhagavan say bhakti is as difficult as jnana? What is the difficulty? You have to be surrendered to God's will, so that's already the case. What's the difficulty? So we're not realizing that everything is God's will, and yet within God's will, in the design of this play, that aspect of ourselves which we still think we own has to be kept immersing in God's love and God's light. Either in the form of consistent practice in inquiry or consistent surrender of bhakti, or both. So stay away from spiritual pride, spiritual complacency. Always try to love your brothers and sisters. Stay away from anger, from greed, from grabbing from others, wanting to have more than everyone else. These simple things they teach us to do in holidays. Be kind to everyone, love everyone, treat everyone happily, don't get angry with them. They are indicators of how we are meant to live. The more we do that, the more you deepen, the more you do deepen, the more you do that. It is a virtuous circle. But if you tell lies, if you get angry, if you're quietly hiding your bad habits, then you're just distancing away whatever just your heart compass will tell you. See? But till you feel like you can't find your heart compass, follow what I'm telling you. Ishvara Paridhana. Live in the Adhinta of God. What does that mean? We are under their rule, under God's rule. So never refer to yourself truly without God being in the center of the narrative. Then what happens to our stories? If He becomes our focus, then the life of this little old me is not that important. And we get away from a lip service spirituality, which is still me, in spite of, even if the topic is to be empty of the me, it is still me. It's like poison antidote, poison antidote, poison antidote, and how many years will we do it? Sometimes we have to let it go. Let go of this me and surrender to God. Otherwise, this body will be 70, 80, whatever, we'll have the same conversation. All of us, this one will be on the dying deathbed, we'll have the same conversation. Just bring God into the main frame of your life. Won't happen, nothing will happen without that. Everything can happen in God's grace, but most likely nothing will happen unless you try to surrender your narratives to Him fully. How make Him the narrative? Live as if God is always here, because He is. How to make Him the center of the narrative? Is God here right now or no? Are we living like that? Is our story like that? Never, hardly ever. See? So that is the denial of the truth. That is what I mean, that's what I'm raging against, a godless spirituality. So we are just in denial that He's here. So it's just like, okay, what should I do? What should I do? Ask for His help because He's here. It's not easy to explain these things. I hope I'm making some inroad somewhere at least. So back to the question, am I always living in God's will? No, I'm not. And the trigger could be anything. Somebody at work comes and says, da-da-da, but they said da-da-da, something else 5 minutes ago. I could forget about God in that moment. You see? So more and more we have to deepen in his love, in his remembrance. One child had a good question. They said that if I don't get angry or irritated, then what if my children get spoiled? So that is symptomatic of the godless spirituality. She didn't intend it like that, but sometimes we forget that God is aware of everything. He knows that we are not getting angry and irritated because we are working hard to be with Him. So do you really feel like because we did that, He'll allow our children to get spoiled? Like just to claim that He's just powerless or He doesn't care. He doesn't love us. He's not Kripalu. So please have your trust in Him that if you really resolve to make the changes so that you can be with God, then don't think that God is not with you, He's not watching, He's not aware, He doesn't care or He doesn't have time. All this is nonsense. So no excuses for bad behavior. Can we resolve this Diwali? Let's make this a resolve that we will not have any excuses, especially not spiritual excuses, Advaita excuses for bad behavior. We'll try. Second thing is that don't use this as a weapon on the outside. So some of you couples are here, so don't use it on the other one. Let's see, Ananta had said, you're doing. Use it for yourself. Use it for yourself. Inwardly, apply to yourself. One Guruji had said that this knowledge is not to be used as a sword to attack another, it is to be used as an umbrella to protect yourself. So, yes, you have faith in God, if you are in the right, it is very difficult to know when we are in the right, firstly. All of us feel like we are right. So then everybody can't be right. Is it? So it's very difficult to know when we are right. So just have your trust in God that He knows. If He knows what is right and He's allowing this to unfold in my life, this pain is there, this suffering is there, then we can trust that it must be teaching us something. Okay. I've spoken much more than I felt to, but that's good. That's good.
Maharaj, I have a query.
Yes, my dear. Yes, it's good. We can talk now.
Right. Last time you had mentioned, to seek for God's will. Whatever will you have, you drop it and then wait for God's will. I tried it, though may not be intensely. Uh, no response. So,
No.
yeah, I don't know what to say.
So, let's see where we can meet firstly. So, do you feel that He is here?
Yeah, right now I feel, but I don't know what will happen after 20 minutes. Yeah,
Yeah, that's okay. So, but right now you feel like He's always here, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, that feeling may change from our side, but at least as long as we can see right now that it is intuitive, heartfelt knowledge that He is always with us. Okay, so firstly it is that. Then now you're saying that you surrendered your will, It can seem like a sacrifice. I really wanted that, and I let it go because I did not feel it was coming from His will. So that can seem like a sacrifice. So you sacrificed your will first. Yes? Then you waited. Yeah? And you did not get a response. You see? Now, would you not say that that silence was God's response? Is it?
Right.
So when we learn to trust that seeming non-response which the mind is clamoring for, but we trust that silence of God's presence more than the clamorings of the mind, we are starting to follow His will. Is it? So it is not a dial-a-God service.
Sorry, it's
It's
not
not a dial-a-God service that I let go
dialogue.
of my
Okay,
will and then
right.
that's like a 1-800 number. Just let go of my will. I've done my part now. It's over to you. You see, it's not. It is a development of faith. It is a development of patience. It is a development of trust. You see, because we are learning to let go of our false way of life and coming to a true way of life. And that true way of life is full of patience, is full of courage. So the deepening of faith, deepening of trust, and you will see more and more as time goes on, if you give it enough time, that that silence was the best response that was needed at that point of time. Because imagine what would happen. Anyone just lets go of their will and they just wait for God, and God starts speaking to them like that movie Bruce Almighty or something, then he can't hear so well.
No, no, the Diwali crackers are
I
bursting
see, I
outside.
see.
Right,
So then just let go of your will, what you wanted. That instant God starts talking to you. It's just
right,
there, like everyone. So then imagine it's like everyone's feeling like they got access to a magic genie now. Immediately they turn and now, you see, so no patience, no humility, no faith, nothing. It's just instant noodles type exercise that we let go of God's will, we let go of our individual will, and God is presented Himself to us, you see, almost in an obligatory fashion. But it's not like that.
so silence implies I can continue with my
I mean, option B is just so bad. Like the other option, which is to go with my will and to go with the mind, is just so bad that silence is anyway 1,000 times better than it.
right. When I think I had asked you, so if let us say, should I drink water,
Yeah,
and there is the response is silence,
yeah,
so should I not be drinking water?
yeah. You will notice that guidance doesn't only come in the form of words. You will notice, like right now, I notice that these words are coming from my heart. There is no individual or very little individual volition or agency about what is being spoken. It is just unfolding from my heart. So our day-to-day life is being taken care of in that natural unfolding as well. You don't have to wait for like God's voice to have to come and say, now go drink water. You don't have to. It's not like that. You see, it's more that you will find that you're not applying yourself from an egotistical place, and your life is unfolding from a deeper, heartfelt place. See, the more you do this in God's name, in God's devotion, He will shine the light on the next steps. He'll keep guiding you in the form of so many different forms, in some satsang, in something that you could see. But you will learn to gauge from your heart instead of gauging from the intellect. And remember that the
Right.
heart is not an emotional center, it is a spiritual center. The heart that we speak of is not what your emotions are feeling, Because many times to be patient and wait for God can feel like our throat is being squeezed, because we really want to take some action based on what the mind wants. You see, we want to respond to anger with anger, we want to respond to insult with insult, you see. So to just, like in the movie Man of God, Saint Nectarius is attacked very, very unfairly, very, very badly for no fault of his own at all. And then some police people come and push his children to the ground, are abusive with him. And there's a scene in the movie where he just tells one of his students, which means, don't worry, he is with us, he is watching, he is listening. You see? So if your intention is to be with God, don't worry, you will be taken care of, and my feeling is you will not go thirsty for too long also.
One more question though. Bhagwan also mentions this at some place, but one I recollect. He says one of the two things must be done. Either you go to the source of the thought and merge the mind in the heart, or the second one is you accept your inability and your helplessness and you rely or seek guidance from God, or surrender, something like that. And then he says, God never forsakes one who has surrendered. Uh, can you please explain this verse and especially what exactly surrender means?
Yeah. It's quite clear. He's saying either dissolve yourself fully, the false sense of identity, dissolve it fully through your self-inquiry, get to the origin of any reference that the I can make, which is the I thought. I am this, I am that, all this, get to the source of where this I comes from, and you will find that it is the absolute reality. And if not that, if your temperament is different, if you're attracted to another way, then just surrender your will to Him. What is to surrender your will to Him? It is the same. At the end, you realize that that individual doer, which seems so important, the mind's ramblings about I want and I don't want, it seems so alive and important. Once you start to let it go, you will realize more and more that only He is, and whatever of me still seems to remain, it is best lived in refuge to Him, at His holy feet, in His holy presence. So ultimately, both lead to the same place of the dissolution of the false identity and the union with God. You see? Now, many times what happens is the mistake we make is that we take an experience or an insight about our oneness with God and make a conceptual reality out of that for ourselves. You see, suppose you did inquiry really well, and in that inquiry you saw that there really are no two, there is no distinction. So you remain like that for some time. Then when you step out of the inquiry, then there may be silence for a long time, but slowly the mind tries to make something out of that experience and says, okay, now you have seen the greater reality, you see, or you have had an insight about the truth. That is the beginning of coming back into the false identification. You see, when you are able to make a claim like that about you, yourself, and not for all your brothers, sisters. So, and it's very easy to fall into that trap. Then the mind wants you to just rely on that experience and say, see, last week you saw that you are one with the true self, there is no distinction, everything, the truth is non-duality. So now you're no longer living in the freshness of that insight, but you're living in a conceptual reliance on past experience. And that one has the propensity to become spiritually proud, to make something out of himself. I have seen something special, therefore I am special. So allow that one to remain subservient to God's will, serving God's love and light, and then you will not have the danger of spiritual pride engulfing your life again and keeping you away from God.
And Bhagwan says another thing also. Uh, if you surrender, then you don't have a right to complain. And he even says you don't even have a right for prayer.
Yeah.
Can you please say something on that?
If you surrendered, then He has to do the prayer and He has to do the whatever expressions are unfolding through us, whatever experiences that we are having. But remember that even that is not what Bhagavan said, but this, what I just clarified, is also half surrender. Full surrender is that He is the doer and He is also the experiencer. Tvam karta, tvam bhokta. You see? So the prayer, the object of the prayer, and the impact, the outcome of the prayer are all Him. That is true surrender. You see, but till we come to full surrender, we must keep praying. You see, so remember that surrender is not just saying, "Oh, I surrender." You see, this is like, I surrender. Okay, what for lunch? Where do I go? What is not good on TV? You see, it's not just like bol diya I surrender is not surrender. No, it is just lip service surrender. To really, okay, now I have surrendered, so I am not alive anymore. I don't exist. You see, I don't exist anymore. So now we surrender. I don't exist. What is to move this body? What is to move the things in the world? What is to unfold what my family will say or do? All of that. Because you don't exist anymore. You see, but the waking state still appears. So allow the one that makes the waking state appear to move what in the past you took to be yourself. Do I live like that 100% of the time? I don't. I don't live 100% of the time as if I don't exist, or even if I do exist, I am only existing as a servant of God or as a devotee of God. Many times I'm devoted to me. And I feel that for this one at least, it will be a lifetime project, or maybe multi-lifetime project. We should know. But there was a time where I did not recognize that there's a propensity to rely on some past experience and to just forget about God moment to moment. Now I see how many times a day I forget about Him, and I feel like there's such a long way to go. I'm just a beginner in this process. And to forget that God is here is the same as to say that I forget that I don't exist. Many times I forget I don't exist.
I mean, you forget that you exist.
No, I forget that I don't exist. The me doesn't exist. I see
Right.
where the confusion is coming from, because it is Him, it is His light which is truly existent. But what I mean to say is that many times I feel like there is a man Ananta. Many times a day, many times a day.
And especially when it comes to surrender, when things go south, health is down, situation around is difficult. The tendency to complain keeps coming up.
Because we've forgotten that
Mm.
Tvam Karta, Tvam Bhokta, you are the doer and you are the experiencer. So, south for whom?
Ego.
So, we So this is what I called surrendering with one eye open, which is that we surrender, but we are tracking the results. What is now happening? You see, so that is a very normal deal-making type surrender that most of us end up doing. That I'm going to surrender my life to you, God, but I will still watch out, keep an eye on you. How are you doing? You see? So that is not called surrender, that is called delegation. This is called upward delegation. Have you heard the term? So we are not
Somewhat like
delegating. We are not delegating to a subordinate. We are delegating to a higher power, but we are still delegating.
like outsourcing some sort.
This is a delegation in the wrong direction. We are trying to use stronger words. We must come into servitude of God, but we feel the method of surrender is to get Him in servitude of us by saying that I will still keep an eye on the outcome, whether it is going north or south, but you better take it north, otherwise I'll take my surrender back from you. So it's a very human sort of human mind tendency to be like that.
And other thing is, there are times when the mind feels boredom. I think that's also a symptom of godless spirituality, the way you said.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. It becomes just me, and is the me having a good time? Is it being engaged? Is it too much emphasis on the me? And boredom can seem like one of those very simple, harmless things, but boredom is very vicious actually. It leads to so much trouble. Most trouble in the world starts with this idea that I'm bored.
Mm.
It can be even in satsang that he just says the same things over and over again. I'm bored, so let me just find another way to do this. Then we start looking here, there, confuse ourselves in so many different ways. So Maya's trick, this boredom is a great trick of Maya. But you know what? Something here wants to be really boring for all of you. Something here wants to really be super boring for all of you. You see, because I don't want to spend this life and you coming to me just in this sort of need for some sort of entertainment under the garb of spirituality. That's the worst case scenario, that I died a spiritual performer and not really leading you to God. So many times when we do meet, if by God's grace we do meet, we will try to keep this spirituality so much about God and non-performative as possible. Because I won't wish the life of a spiritual performer on, if I had some enemies, on my worst enemy also. There's a story that's very popular these days about a 10-year-old boy who's been obviously put up by his parents to be a spiritual performer. And I've just been like almost in tears thinking about the life of that boy. He's 10 years old and we've taken his childhood away from him just to put him on a pedestal and make some money out of it and do spiritual oratory and spiritual influencing as a business. However, it is beyond comprehension. And it's a very good example of a godless spirituality where it is just God in words, but really no sense that God is watching us. He's seeing what is happening in our lives. Garima, I had a question.
So you were saying about surrender. Now, everything is God and you are and the experiencer is the same. The mind can also sometimes masquerade as everything is you, it's not calling ourselves. We stop calling ourselves, I'm nothing. How can you smell that?
have to just sharpen your nose more and more, see where it is coming from. Like in a egotistical masquerade, we can say I am the worst. And in the Tulsidas or Bharat way, we can say I am the worst. Kabir ji said, बुरा जो देखा मैं चला, बुरा न मिला कोई, अपने देखा अपने आप को, मुझसे बुरा ना कोई. So that hopefully came from a very, very authentic place. You see? So the great sages say that, and the spiritual performers may say that, or those who are caught in pride may also say I am the most foolish. You see? So it's very possible to come from here in that way as well, that maybe it is a new pride which is saying I'm so foolish, I'm so foolish. You see? So we have to really keep offering it to God, keep smelling from the heart within, whether it's coming really authentically, if it is coming from a place that you can really see how many times you still go with I want rather than waiting for what God wants, then that is a sign of error or foolishness. And we can notice that this life is about living in God's will. Hukum Rajai Chalna, Nanak ji said. So we still notice, I still notice so many times where I go with what I want and not what God wants. I don't have the patience, or I already presume I know what is right. You see, so that is an act of silliness or foolishness. And every day there are so many of those. So the question really is that, go ahead, yes, really is that what is there for us to learn from Hanumanji? Hanumanji. On Diwali, what is it we can learn from the Bhaktas of Lord Ram? What made them so great? The sheer reliance on God's will. I don't recall Hanumanji ever being shown like Ramji has said, just go get the Sanjeevani, and Hanumanji is like, no, I feel like, a better plan would be if you just go do this. Or him saying, actually, there's something, I feel like I have to pay attention to that other thing first. Relying on his own mind, on his own intellect, he's just so much trust in God, so much trust in God's light. That is what we have to learn. And the complete absence of pride of being a devotee. So I posted a fictional account just before Satsang of a contemplation that I was doing, reading the words of C.S. Lewis. So, in which, so if somebody says that you've done a really good job, that you've been very good, thank you for doing such a good job, thank you for being such a good person, all of that. There's some pleasure in that. You see? There's some pleasure in that. So is that pleasure pride? No, it isn't. It can lead to it. I'm coming there. So that pleasure itself is very natural. Everyone likes being appreciated. Everybody. You see? So if we are able to take that pleasure and then to offer it to God and say, thank you God, it is only your will that made it happen like this, then we remain in humility. That doesn't mean the pleasure of that appreciation or the pleasure of being loved will stop. But the minute we start to think that maybe I am so good, maybe I am that great, I did help you a lot really, you see, that is when we get into pride. So to be able to dissect these things at such a subtle level, so somebody says, thank you, my friend, you've done so well and really appreciate it. So you feel good that you helped a brother or sister, some goodness is there. So kindness always feels good, compassion always feels good. And the other one in front of you hopefully will be appreciative of that. And then the feeling of goodness is shared on both sides. But the minute we start to say, oh yeah, see, actually I did. help quite a bit. I am pretty good. That is when it becomes pride. When we are able to offer it back to God, like the temple priest, you see, somebody comes to the temple, says, thank you, Maharaj, to the priest, and says, thank you, Panditji, that you've really blessed me last time and my life is sorted, my children are better, something. So if the priest says, yeah, I did bless him last time, I'm glad something is working. You see, so it starts getting to you as somebody. But if you remember to offer it back to God and to offer the prasad back to God, from God to that one, then
Sometimes that offering can be lip service.
huh?
Just lip service
That's
to
what,
say it's you.
authentically, that's what. So if we are thinking that, oh, actually it is me and we are just going through the motions is for namesake, then that is not true spirituality. So what is important in that is, suppose you ended up fooling the whole world with your lip service spirituality. Nobody made out. Everybody thought you were being faithful to God, but actually you were just building in your pride. You see? So then you fooled the whole world, and that can seem unfair. But that is again taking God out of the equation. God is aware of our every single intention, our every single heartbeat, our every single breath. So, and God is not that powerless that we can just be happy. We cannot fool God just because we fool the whole world.
Let me just take an example of what you said this time. I think you posted on Facebook, and I had calls or anything, and I was on Facebook, I was reading through, and then I can see comments on the post that you were made. Now, suppose you made this post, and I'm just taking a hypothetical example. You go back and read that, and you feel, you check the comments. Why? Because it must make somebody feel happy to see that whatever I have posted has got some, has benefited some. And then when you offer it to God and say that this is not me, God, this is you, and because of this, so many people doing this. With the very act of going and checking on Facebook, suppose, I'm not saying you're doing it, I'm saying it can be an example. Isn't that bringing some pride to say, let me see what people have said to this?
It depends. It depends with the intention that if you're talking about this one, it's very possible that it's from pride. But if you could do it, like if somebody truly a sage was doing it, then maybe they just wanted to see if there's a question for them or there's something that needs their attention. Like to just move in a heartfelt way can bring us back. We can't determine the inner state of someone with always by their outer action. Like checking your Facebook comments, most likely, especially in my case, could be pride. But for many, like if there was, but if there was a great sage who was sharing through Facebook, and they went and checked on and gave love to those who wrote back, it could come from a place of love also.
Don't you think this whole social media thing is only just adding to pride?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That it's not in the action by itself that we can say. It is only in our own hearts that we can really know. But of course, speaking generally, yes, social media is
It's also like, when we are listening to you and these questions are coming up. For years I've sat in Satsang and said that anybody who's asking questions, why is there a need to ask a question when there is silence? When you can feel what is being said, then there is silence. And of course, there is you also. And then,
no, it's a good question. So, Bhagwan had a very good metaphor for this. He said that you need a thorn to remove another thorn. So, sometimes the words of satsang, the concepts, can pull out like a tweezer the other concept and leave us empty of that condition that we had. But many times it can become, again, there's no black and white. Many times it can just become a pride thing.
posting online also, if there is really truly silence, why is there a need to post?
Because, for example, if Papaji videos were not on YouTube, if somebody didn't post them, then we would not recognize the ignorance that was still playing in this one, and I wouldn't have come to Satsang. You see? So many times, that's what I'm saying, the thorn is needed to remove the other thorn as well. So, how many of us really go to the heart for the answer? And to learn that the answer is in the heart, probably we need to learn it in some way. Something has to guide us. So that is why for time immemorial, for people to come to God, they've needed the help of a teacher, of a guru. And if the only way for us to come to God was through silence, then all gurus would never have spoken. But so many have spoken. God? What about God? Make God the center. What does God want right now? That answer came really fast. You must be in full communion with Him. Don't presume what He wants. Stay with Him. Stay with Him. He'll tell you what He wants. How are you serving God now? It's very easy to say I'm in servitude to God, but moment to moment to check how are we serving God now? How are you serving God now? Now, in this moment. So serve Him. How will you serve Him? At least make yourself fully available to serve Him. Getting the switch. You see? Because many times we get into a place where our spirituality unwittingly, without realizing, becomes in service to ourselves instead of service to God.
Your intention is so if you've gone off in some group, suddenly, not really, it shows you, some situation will come, it will show you that even that thing was pride actually. You thought you were really being humble, but you weren't. You were just being, like you made yourself a decision and said that's the, he'll show you. He won't just leave you there.
He's always showing us. Based on how open we are, we listen or we don't listen.
Unless you have pointed out to us that to make him the center, there question of serving or being center or any sort. So you're not even aware that that's an option. And just because you became aware, it became easy, it became even harder.
It's such an absurd thing in Maya that we're doing a spirit, like many of us get stuck in a spiritless spirituality. It's like having lemonade without water. It's strange. Okay. Is solitude required to be with God? What is the role of being in seclusion? You have to judge for yourself. If around people you can stay with Him, then around people is fine. If you need to be by yourselves to be with Him, then be by yourselves. Your life is constantly showing you these things. You can rely on that. You can rely on what you find in your heart.
Father, thank you so much for calling us today. Thank you.
I was saying the other day that right now I'm not sure which way things will go. It could be that we have more satsangs, like satsangs every day, twice a day, or it could be that we don't have satsang for months. And honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I realize that it's not easy for so many of you, but I have to be true to what's in my heart, and right now this is the feeling that like I don't know next week onwards how it is going to play.
I pray for twice a day.
Twice a day. Yes. I've received also so much love, so many tantrums in the form of some very blatant tantrums, some very subtle tantrums, some just love. Thank you for all your messages and sweetness. I've received all of them in my heart. So, maybe we sing the Hanuman Chalisa.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारि रामा निज मन मुकुर सुधारि वरनौ रघुवर बिमल जसु जो दायकु फल चारि तुलसी जो दायकु फल चारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमारी रामा सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार तुलसी हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर राम दूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन बिराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा बिराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज संवारे लाए संजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बढ़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई सहस वदन तुम्हरो जस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा यम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाए राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, सब जग जाना। युग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु, लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि जय अजरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिन पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे, तीनों लोक हाकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों युग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता, असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारो भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुवरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिसे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो शत बार पाठ कर कोई, झूठ ही बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप रामा। मंगल मूर्ति रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसव सुरभूप। तुलसी हृदय बसव सुरभूप।